What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. We are back doing another one of our prediction videos. This one is going to be for the Wales Internationals, which... oh, it's going to be a long autumn for the Wales fans, unfortunately, including myself, because Wales have got a very hard set of games coming up. This could be a bit painful. I'm going to be going and seeing some of the games live. I get to go watch live rugby in a stadium, which I can't wait for. But wow, what a tough couple of games. So as we did for the Scotland video already, we're going to be going through, we're going to be doing predictions on who we think is going to win the games as they're going to be going on. Of course, this is a month before squads are even announced, so there's every chance I could be wrong about all of these games, so don't judge me too much. So let's start off. Wales's first game versus New Zealand. So this is, in fact, their autumn internationals here is pretty much what I'm just going to call the World Cup group, because almost everything here has some sort of influence from a World Cup. So in 2019 they played New Zealand, they played for that third place playoff and actually played really well. I think New Zealand were a little bit dishevelled after that loss to England in the semi-finals, and Wales just thought, hey, we lost to South Africa, let's throw everything at New Zealand and see what happens. They fell a little bit short against New Zealand, but they looked pretty good. They got a good score on New Zealand, because normally Wales don't tend to put a lot of points on New Zealand. But I have seen some of the New Zealand games that have been going on, and New Zealand are looking like New Zealand. They're looking really good. They're looking very impressive. I need to have a look at what's going to be going on between New Zealand and South Africa to see how those games pan out. But so far, what I've seen, the New Zealand games have been pretty dominant. I watched a bit of the Aotearoa highlights. Those New Zealand teams are looking awesome. So I think New Zealand are going to be looking good for this one, unfortunately. I wouldn't be surprised for this game, actually, if Wales don't actually put out the best of the best. I could see them maybe doing a 50-50 first and second string team, just because of how hard the rest of the games are for them. You want to come away with a few wins. Granted, it would be great to beat New Zealand. I'm going to go and watch the New Zealand game live at the Principality, so if anyone's there, come say hi to me. But for me, I think I'm going to have to give the prediction here. I think it's going to be a New Zealand win, unfortunately. On to game 2, South Africa. Now, the Springboks doing well in the Lions tour. They managed to beat the Lions in 2 of those games. They looked a little bit rusty against the Georgia team when they first played them, but they soon got into it. And what we've seen from South Africa, a lot of people being quite negative about South Africa, saying they're quite boring to watch and they sort of do things, very slowly. They like their set pieces and stuff. They do stuff to win a game. You can't blame a team too much for it. And they still have those explosive wingers, people like Mapimpi and Colby, that are exciting to watch with the ball in hand. I'm not sure if I agree too much with that. They just do what it is to win a game. They lay down a challenge and expect you to outplay them. Now, will Wales outplay them? Now, this is why I said I thought maybe they put on a 50-50 team against New Zealand to just try and save as many full-strength players for this game as they can do against South Africa. Of course, this is the team Wales lost to in that semi-final, which was so close. What was it, like a 3-point difference? It was just watching people kicking to post because no one could score tries and stuff. It was such a tight game. I remember watching that. It could have been a Wales-England final. Wouldn't that have been awesome to have seen? So South Africa definitely probably got... probably odds-on favourites to win this game. However, they've got a couple of tough games along the way as well. They're going to be playing Scotland. They're going to be playing England. So, how much will they fear the Wales team? They should probably keep in mind that Wales have done so well for so long in terms of the defensive set under Gatland. As we saw the Lions play again, that very defensive style, rather than being all-out aggression. Wayne Pivac now in, taking over the team, trying to make them play a little bit more like the Scarlets do. They're a lot more aggressive. There's new players coming in. People like Zammit, Josh Adams has found a form we haven't really seen in a long time. Players are really beginning to step up. These one-man army players that can turn around a game. They won't be too afraid to mess about with them. Of course, a lot of them have been out there playing against South Africa anyway. I think this go on could be tight. I don't think this will be necessarily the most exciting game to watch. I think both teams will be a little bit more reserved and just try and play methodical play and kick for a lot of posts. There'll probably be a lot of penalties in this game. I think that South Africa will have had enough game time in the last couple of sort of months of playing the Lions. Wales lost twice to Argentina, but it was very much a second string team, so it's a little bit hard to judge where they're going to be. But I think for me, I'm going to call a South Africa win on that one. On to game 3, Fiji. Now, this will be a game to really target for Wales. Both teams coming up finally now, Fiji and Australia, both already named in the Wales World Cup pool for 2023. So beating these teams will be the key to try and get their World Cup, dreams, try and keep them alive a little bit. Fiji are a tough team. They are looked at very much as just a second-tier nation, which is probably fair. They can't quite hold up against some of the really big teams, but you can really see that they have a lot of passion, a lot of aggression. When you watch them play the teams like Georgia and stuff, they just go all out. They're all big boys. They have the interchangeable wingers, centres, fly halves. Everyone just plays everywhere. It's really hard to design a game plan to beat Fiji. They're a very physical team. You could be looking at huge injuries, and you've got to be able to maintain a way to actually try and play Fiji at their own game. The offload game is great. We see how they do in sevens. They're a tough team to come up against. Wales have lost to Fiji in the past, as any good Wales supporter knows. It can be very annoying, but Fiji have got it in them to beat Wales if they really want to go for it. This, to me, will be the main game. As much as I don't see Wales beating New Zealand and South Africa as I would like them to anyway, but I just don't see it happening. Fiji should be a team they should absolutely believe they can beat, and they won't want to lose this game. This will be the one to absolutely be the big choice, whether they go for a second tier or a first tier team. I think it's worth putting on some big boys for this Fiji game to try and just make sure you get that win, generate some momentum going forwards. I don't think you want to put on a second string team against Fiji, because I think Fiji would maybe look to try and take that one. But for me, I have to believe Wales have it in them to not lose to a team like Fiji and will be able to come up with a better game plan, and Wayne Pivac will be slightly more designed around how to beat Fiji. Don't give them the ball. Don't do too many box kicks. As I'm saying it out loud, I feel like that's exactly what Wales will do, but there we go. But I'm going to go, on the prediction scale, I'm going to go for Wales to beat Fiji. And the final game for Wales versus Australia. We're all getting a bit bored of seeing this game now. I think this has happened at like the last 3 World Cups now. Wales-Australia is a very tight game. It always is. They're normally, I would probably say, some of the most boring games to watch, you could say. Not a lot goes on. If you're a bit of an average spectator of rugby, you won't be seeing tries galore in these games. There's a lot of penalties. There's a lot of kicking for 3 points. There's a lot of trying to just outdo the other teams, trying to win the set piece. It's not the most entertaining thing. If you're a big rugby fan, you like your sort of real nitty-gritty breakdown. There's a lot that goes on in a Wales-Australia game. Like I said, this will be pretty much the team, whoever wins this one, I would like to believe whoever wins this game in the World Cup will probably finish top of the pool. So, you know, that's where you want to be, considering the teams that are going to be potentially playing them. I believe it's England, Argentina or Japan that'll be playing them in the World Cup if they finish in that way. I think that's how the groups work anyway. I don't know who will win the group stages in that one. Maybe England would have the odds-on favourite for that. But looking to play either Japan or Argentina in the World Cup, you know, is probably where you want to be looking in terms of whoever's going to come second. Who knows? Maybe Argentina win that. But Wales have got a relatively decent track record against Argentina, minus this summer just gone where they had a lot of second string players playing. But Wales-Japan I'd quite like to see actually. So anyway, back to Wales-Australia. I'm going to get sidetracked. Wales-Australia. Yeah, going to be a tight game. Australia got some big games coming up, playing like Scotland and England as well. So they'll be putting out pretty much a full force team, but there could be injuries along the way. This is going to be Wales' last game. I think this is also Australia's last game. I could be wrong. Feel free to correct me down in the comments there. But I think this will be pretty much the last game for them. So there could be a couple of injuries for Australia as well as Wales. Actually, Wales have got some physical games coming up. A tight-knit game. I imagine it'll probably finish within a score either way. I'm going to say my prediction for this one. I'm going to call a Wales win. I believe Pivac will know this is going to be the big game to target, so getting a win in here, especially with Australia not necessarily playing the best rugby that we saw against France in the summer internationals. They certainly had a couple of games there where I really thought they sort of threw the game away a little bit. So I think Wales have got it in them, and I think if they put out a pretty strong squad, they should be looking to win this game. So my prediction for this one is going to be a Wales win over Australia. But like I say in these videos, guys, of course, this is still like well over a month ahead. We haven't even had the teams announced. These are just predictions for a bit of fun that we can look back at after the internationals are over and see how many we got correct. But what do you guys think? Make sure you drop it down in the comments. Who do you think is going to win each game? Do you think it could be a Wales clean sweep? Do you think that maybe they'll lose every game? Who knows what people think? I will be attending both the New Zealand and the Fiji game. I'll be down at the Principality for both games. So if everyone is down there, come say hi. I'll say hi back. But really looking forward to seeing actual live rugby again. It'd be really nice to go down to a stadium, get a bit of atmosphere going. Haven't done that in 2 years, so really looking forward to that one. But if you've enjoyed this video, guys, make sure to drop it a like and make sure to subscribe to this channel, because we are going to be doing one of these videos covering every single game leading up to the Autumn Internationals. I hope you all enjoyed today, guys. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.